Hey, what's up, guys? This is Rich, and I'm here with Andrew from Capcom, and we are here to give you guys a really cool, exclusive first look at the opening to Lost Planet 3. We're going to be taking a look at the new hero, new setting, you know, and really kind of take a look at the opening 15 minutes or so of the game.
That's right.
So here we are looking at Jim. Jim is our new hero, our new protagonist. Andrew, tell me a little bit about Jim. Who's this guy? What's his deal? Why is he on E.D.N. 3?
Sure. Well, Jim is sort of more of a blue-collar construction worker type of guy who's actually come from Earth to E.D.N. 3, and we're seeing him right here as he's basically just crash-landed on the planet, and this is where the player first gets control of Jim. And Jim has left a wife and child on Earth to come to E.D.N. 3 to perform dangerous jobs in order to earn money to comfortably provide for his family.
Great, great. So, I mean, right off the bat, this opening segment is kind of like a tutorial, right? Just kind of giving you a feel for the environment and sort of what you do when you're Jim sort of outside of his rig, right?
Exactly, yeah. This serves a couple of purposes. One is sort of as a tutorial section, and one to show people the world. As a lot of people may know, we're going back to extreme conditions and really showing off the foreboding and cold, desolate nature of the planet. And this is just a great way for us to show that in a cinematic way.
And I know you guys are, you know, that are watching this are only going to see it briefly, but I know you can catch some like brief glimpses of sort of the acrid sort of scooting around. Thought I saw some like just off in the sort of perimeter of the screen a bit ago.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a great way to kind of introduce the concept of acrid before you have to fight them. And we'll be seeing a little bit more of that in just a second. Ooh,
yeah, actually,
there was
one
one
right there. Yeah, exactly. All right, so Jim's basically now. Where's he trying to get to? His ship crash landed, and he's trying to basically get to where now?
He's trying to find the beacon that's going to tell people where to pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
And because they crashed, it got thrown at a distance away, and now he's got to go and grab that.
Now, one thing I caught early, just a little bit ago, right when the gameplay started, was a Waypoint System, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that functions within the game? I mean, pretty straightforward. Waypoint. There we go,
yes,
right
exactly,
off on the right there.
Exactly. When you're on foot like this with Jim, we try to guide people as much as possible through the environment. But if you do get lost, you can push up on the directional pad, and it'll give you your objective again, and it'll give you your waypoint so that you don't get lost.
Great. Cool. So now, at this point, you don't even have any weapons, right? Like, you couldn't fight anything even if you wanted to. You're basically... I mean, you just got there, right? So no guns, no nothing?
Well, Jim's got his trusty pistol, but it's holstered
Okay.
right now because he doesn't know what he's up against. But he'll find out right here.
Oh, great.
And this is when he's going to arm himself.
Okay, great.
Because he's not a belligerent man, but he's not an idiot either.
Perfect. So here we get our first, like, full glimpse of an acrid.
Yes.
What is this little beastie here?
This one is called the Sapaya. And fans of the franchise will probably remember this from the first two Lost Planet games. This is a fan favorite that's returning. And this would actually be the ancestor of the Sapaya from Lost Planet 1 and 2 because we are in the past. This game does take place before the first one.
Great. And then one of the things I think is pretty cool, and this sort of comes into a bigger play once you have the rig and everything like that, but the sort of heads-up display on the game is actually very minimal at the moment, just your crosshair. And then I actually thought it was really cool how you guys sort of implemented the, like right below the crosshair, you see that bar that sort of curves around,
yes.
which is basically your ammo indicator,
exactly.
Right?
And you can see as I fire shots that will go down and reload.
And then with the pistol, you actually have unlimited ammo. Tell me about that choice. That's an interesting one to me.
Sure, yeah. Well, once again, I mean, it's a shooter, and so we want to have people have a backup weapon. And we'll see later on in the demo when I have some other weapons I can switch back and forth. But you'll always have the pistol as a backup so that you'll be able to defend yourself no matter what. And we made a choice to give it unlimited ammo so that you'll never be in a situation where you can't defend yourself.
You and I were talking about it earlier, though. It's like, yeah, you may have unlimited ammo for your pistol, but against some of these guys, you know, some of the acrid, it's not really going to help you too much, pretty much.
Exactly. I mean, this Sapaya that I'm fighting right now is basically our weakest creature. It can still really hurt you in packs, but individually it's pretty weak. And that's why we're using it right here to get people into the combat of the game. And these you can take on a couple at a time with the pistol, but larger stuff you're going to want something meatier.
Sure. Great. You mentioned earlier, let's touch upon it again, the sort of time frame and continuity for this game. It's a prequel to the original Lost Planet 1.
That's correct. This is sort of the lost history of Lost Planet, if you will, and it explores what happened during the establishment of the first colony on the planet. And Jim is experiencing everything for the first time, and really trying to tame the frontier, if you will. It's all about exploration and about this frontier colonization nature.
Right.
So we can see a huge group of Sapai here that are running away from something.
Yeah.
And we'll see what that is in just a second.
Here they come.
Here they come.
All right, for those folks that are new to the sort of whole acrid sort of mythology or whatnot, what are these beasties called?
These are called the Pack Hunters, or Gunro is what their official in-game name is called. And basically they hunt packs and are pretty tough adversaries, but we can see here that one of our colleagues in a utility rig has managed to take care of that for us.
So who do we got in the rig there? So actually a pretty significant character, right?
Yes. The character piloting that rig is named LaRoche. He's a Frenchman who will prove to be Jim's sometimes ally, sometimes rival, but all-around guy that you love to hate.
Great. One thing I noticed when you were fighting the pack hunters there, a little bit of a interactive, quick time, event while you're sort of battling them and spamming A to kind of get the guy off.
Sure.
You. How much of that is in the game? How much of that is integrated into combat in general?
Well, the area we saw right there was just a very brief glimpse at that, just to kind of get people in the edge of their seat, so to speak.
Sure.
Later on, you'll have the opportunity to use what we call the struggle mode, which is about tapping the A button to push an acrid off of you, and then you'll have to use Jim's knife, which he hasn't got yet. I'm going to buy that in a minute or two, and you can use the knife to stab the acrid up close, and you'll have to aim the reticle to stab them. The point of this is to basically have a really visceral kind of close combat option.
Sure.
Mainly when you'll find the struggle mode is when you're low on health.
Right.
So the enemies will kind of attack you normally, and then when Jim is really weak and his animations actually change to reflect the fact that he is near death, that's when they'll see the opportunity to kind of pounce on him.
Yeah, I think we saw a little bit of that in the E3 demo, actually, and I kind of liked how it established sort of a tension for some of those real close encounters that you end up running into with some of the acrid. So we actually just caught a glimpse of a couple other small characters. How sort of, obviously we have Jim. We're going to spend a lot of time with Jim as he sort of explores E.D.N. 3. How much of a supporting cast is there in this game? How many other characters will Jim sort of run across in his adventure here?
There's quite a few. We'll be introduced to some of them right now, and also as we get closer to the home base area. What we've tried to do really with Lost Planet is it's first and foremost Jim's story in LP3, and so he's of course the most important, most developed character. But we've also tried to really give him a cast of supporting characters that all feel very unique. They're not just stereotypes, and so interacting with those characters and wanting to see what happens to them and being invested in their survival and their future is something that's really important for us.
So we got Jim, got picked up by his pals here, or his sort of newly established pals,
Exactly.
I guess, right? He doesn't really know these guys. These are brand new to him.
Yeah, he just crash landed. These guys were sent to pick him up, but he went off course, so they had to find him, and now they have, but they're running into some difficulty on the way back to base, as is always the case here on E.D.N. 3.
Yeah, it never seems to be an easy ride for Jim here.
Exactly.
We'll touch upon this a little bit as we start seeing the characters interact, but you guys seem to, and especially even what I saw at last year's E3, put a big emphasis on characterization.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that, and what lengths have you guys gone to establish that?
Once again, character is very important for us. We don't want to just have this be, kind of a mindless point A to point B type of experience, not only in the gameplay but also in the narrative. So with the narrative, we tried to, establish Jim as a sympathetic and strong character, and we've tried to, in his supporting cast, give people both friends and foes that are really not just one-sided and one-dimensional. And we'll see quite a bit of that coming up here later on in the demo, but in our cinematic sequences, we've done a lot to ensure that the characters' performances and dialogue and facial expressions and everything really feel natural and emotive. To that extent, we've employed a lot of interesting technologies.
Cool. And of course, thermal energy's back. You guys can see the counter. You're picking these things up as you're battling the acrid.
Exactly.
For those of you watching, sort of in the lower right-hand corner, you can see a little TE mark there that's sort of ticking up as Jim picks up the different thermal energy.
Yes. As you may recall, thermal energy in LP1 in particular was used almost sort of as a timer. The fiction being it was so cold that if you weren't constantly grabbing to energy, you would die.
Right.
We've gone away for that system here simply because our game is much less linear and it's much more about exploration. And we don't want that sort of artificial timer egging people on. But what we've done is the thermal energy now in Lost Planet 3, as you gather it, can actually be used for weapon upgrades and things at the base camp. So what you'll see is as soon as I safely arrive at the base camp, if I safely arrive, that I'll be able to use that thermal energy to purchase new upgrades.
Fantastic.
So the drill here has run into an issue where we're trying to get out of this cave, and the drill is kind of ground to a halt. So I've been asked to go over and repair it, so I'll do that real quick.
Tell me a little bit about what you're doing here. I mean, people can't see you actually manipulating the controller.
Yes, I'm using the thumbsticks to try to line up to make them blue. And there's vibration feedback in the controller to kind of tell me when I'm getting hotter or colder.
How often do instances like that happen in the game? Is that something that people will frequently run into as they're sort of trying to do, more like work-like tasks versus combat?
Yeah, well, we've tried to keep everything interactive in some regard. I mean, that repair is more of a simple example. Others are when you're in the rig, which Jim will get later, and you're using the rig to repair and interact with things. We try to keep one-to-one control as much as possible. So anytime that you're being asked to manipulate something, we try to keep as much interaction there as possible, not just pushing the button 100 times.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So your task now is to get back to your crew here. Cool. So we're actually coming, I believe, to the end of this segment of our commentary. But we actually are going to be doing 2 more segments, so you guys should stay tuned. We're going to be taking a look at the entire base of the game, kind of exploring what that means, what Jim can do there, as well as take a look at the first mission of the game.
That's right.